time with me. I can't hear you.
Okay, so you can hear me? There we go.
All right, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Don't ask me what happened.
Yep.
All right, they can hear me. Yay! It just decided to not work. Sorry, guys, that was me. All right, now everybody's in here. You can see us, you can hear us. You see Coretta, guys? Y'all see Coretta? Give us a thumbs up. Yeah, Murphy lives here, Pam. Thumbs up if you can see everybody. Hi, Janella. All right. Now, let me get started. I want to thank you all for coming today for the special class. Coretta is going to talk about this beautiful pattern she has created. And we are going to try to tat this on our own. She's going to give you all the insight to what is difficult parts, and she's going to walk you through it, but she's also going to show you different ways to use this pattern. It is a gorgeous pattern. It is not really technically challenging. A beginner could do it, but there may be a couple of tricks there that she can teach you to aid you in this pattern as well as other patterns. With that said, I'm going to turn the floor over to Miss Coretta. All right, it's her game now, folks. Can't hear you, Coretta.
Thank you.
All right.
So first off, this pattern came from an inspiration. I adapted it from Vicki Clark's Roses Are Red. If you want to see her original pattern, the link to my pattern links to hers. So you can investigate there and kind of see some different varieties. When I was looking for a rose pattern, I had done kind of your simple ring with, you know, expanding chains around it as if you were looking directly onto the top of the rose. And I wanted something obviously with more flatter view because I was thinking about a bookmark and I wanted a rosebud bookmark. So that's kind of how this came about. I originally started tatting in 2005, I think. I was recovering from a total thyroidectomy, and my sister thought that would be a great time to teach me something really hard. If you know anything about the thyroid, if it doesn't work, your brain doesn't work. So that made it kind of interesting because, strangely enough, I couldn't tat, or I mean, I couldn't knit or crochet prior to learning how to tat. So I guess my brain works a little bit backwards. So anyway, I had a younger daughter and I started making little things to stick on her head as a decoration. And so for a while I sold those little, I think Jane Eberl calls them doodles, right? Everyone does, I guess. So let me shift here for you. So it was kind of a way for me to, I don't know, it's not giving me the option.
Put your desktop on?
Yeah, will you? I can't see how to do it.
Let's see what we can do here. There it is. Still a layout. There you go.
Okay, there you go. So as you can kind of see in this picture, I just stuck them on the same way you would, like a ribbon. And she used those for many years, which actually it was very timely because she was born with a lot of hair, but she ended up losing it and was bald for quite a while. So it was a good way, you know, for me to decorate the child. But anyway, so she's kind of my little model. She's now 15, actually almost 16. So, all right, let's start with showing you that, like Tammy said, the pattern itself is not difficult. It's just a matter of following the turns. And even though I have made this so many times, it is still something that I go back to and I look at my notes on because, like I said, it kind of is a brain trip. So when I was trying to lay this out to share with people, I got Miss Gan's help and she helped me see different paths. So on my blog, you can see different ideas about how you could tat this. But the one we ended up laying out in the pattern is continuous thread method with 2 shuttles. However, typically I tend to tat it with just 1 shuttle connected to the ball. And the reason for that is because I know I only need, like, you know, I don't know, 15 or so inches on the shuttle. And a lot of the time I tat on the go. And so it's nice to be able to just have something quick. And but either way, essentially the movement is the same. And so you can start with your ring, and if you watch it, it tells you, thankfully, you know, we help figure this out, like which direction or which, in this case, if it's gray, it's another shuttle, it's the second shuttle. If it's orange, it's the first shuttle. If you're just doing it single shuttle, then you're going to, and I'm tatting off screen because you all know how to tat, so you don't need to watch me fumble around until I get to the important parts. Speaking of, I just made too many, but so you can monitor that and how you get to the next point. And this, since I have made this, and I have made a number of bookmarks, you can kind of see. And the fun thing about them is when you get to the stem part, it's just a free-for-all. You do a pearl tatted chain, and I use the little, you know, picot differing varying lengths to decide kind of what general look I want. And then I played a lot around with the leaves and kind of what I think looks best there. And it, like I said, it's really just a free for all. So the first thing here obviously is your ring. So once you get that, you tighten it and you do your typical reverse work, or honestly, the first one, it really doesn't matter. I typically do because things lay a certain way. And if I flip it, it has kind of a natural picot there because I am going to join there. But we also built in a picot there. So you're going to start with one, but if you forget it, it's okay because there's kind of a natural space. But if you pull it tight, let me see if I can zoom in on this. Nope. So I'll just hold it closer. And you're going to make your picot, and it really just needs to be large enough to join. And when you do this with two shuttles, obviously you're going to pick up the second shuttle at this point. Oh, I made a boo-boo. But if you do it with one shuttle, you're going to take your tatting and you're just going to flip it. There are probably better, well, I know there are different methods about this. You do a half hitch or something like that. But with this pattern, at least for me, and maybe just because I tat tight, it flips just fine. So I just turned the tatting and started with a new stitch. So you can maybe see it just is a line there, and then I'm going to continue, and that itself makes that bend in the line so that now we're turning this direction. Okay, so pretty much most of the rows is going to be handled like that. When you see, you know, a turn, it's going to be changing shuttle colors on the diagram, or you're going to just be turning your work that way. The same thing happens here on the corners, but this is where we do a second half of the shuttle, which is typically how you would turn a corner. And like I said, you don't really need it in these ones, but these ones you do, just because it helps hold its shape better. And so that would be, and this one is the 5 chains, 2 half hitches, and then the, well, second half of the shuttle stitch, right? And this one is the same thing here on this side. So there are, you know, once I started having fun with them as bookmarks, I was like, oh, these would make really cute earrings. So that's, I think, maybe as far as I'm going to go on demonstrating the pattern, just because, like I said, it is pretty simplistic. Obviously, if you run into any issues, go ahead and message me. I have all of my contact on the pattern, and then you can get a hold of me through Facebook too. On the pattern, I also have the calyx, and this is a little bit of a, well, you get to choose, right, if you're going to do it or not. If you choose not to do the calyx, you're not going to do anything else off of the bottom of the rose, then I would skip these picots on the bottom. And one other thought, because you're joining a chain to a chain through a picot, this picot, you'll want to be small enough to just make the join and then tie in. This one was done with actually a size 20 as well. They're both size 20. The difference is this is the metallic Elizabeth. They're both Elizabeth thread. So this one, though, you can see a little bit better how that join happens right there. And then depending on the thread situation or what I'm planning to do with it, sometimes I'll put a dot of Aleene's Jewellet glue on the knot. Sometimes I will sew my threads in. It looks like I sewed them in here. And I just do that through the top of the caps. I have tried the magic thread thing, but apparently I tat too tight. Maybe one of these days I'll come back to it, but this works for me now. But so on this one, I skipped the picots because I just wanted it as the flower. But if you're going to do any of the calyx or the stem, you'll want to keep those picots. I wanted to show you a little variation. And so this one used the 3 bottom picots, and I have the one-sided calyx. And you can just, part of the reason these two are so close together is when you are joining the thread to make your stem, you need some place to join it to. And so if you are making the calyx first, it kind of creates a nice bridge. If you're not, if you're just going straight for a stem, which I don't have any of because I decided I didn't like that anymore, because it's really floppy at the join, even if you use a small picot. One thing that helps though is if you join to both of those picots with your purl tatting. So if you haven't done purl tatting before, it is fun, but it is quite a few shuttles. It's a 3 shuttle situation, and I had it ready, but I lost it, and then I dropped it. And you join them through, well, I'm not going to demonstrate purl tatting. That is honestly another thing, but Jana Burrell has a great static tutorial. It's, you know, one of her PDFs, and that one really helped me learn how to do it, and then kind of play off of it. So the other, so this one I ended up doing a calyx where you have the leaf coming off of each side, and it's uneven on purpose, but if you wanted, you could throw another picot here and have another calyx that ran, or the side of the calyx that ran along the flower edge more. It's really however you want to go from there. Okay, so obviously I made a bunch of bookmarks with it, with varying, I think I showed you those, but I will show you again. And I have since done littler ones, and I think I threw it away because I wasn't going to show you, and then I decided I was, with rose buds instead, and things like that. Muskan showed when we were working through this, she actually kind of created a rosebud on her blog. You can see that. So another thing is when I do different calyxes, sometimes they curl in a lot, you know, depending on my tension or if I'm completely following my own pattern or not, because it is nice to have that variability. So these ones, curled in quite a bit. And so I like that option as just a simple earring. Okay, so I haven't put the other findings on the other one yet, but so those ended up being really fun. And I had a pair, and I'm remaking them, of this design where there's a little dangle in the center, and those two picots at the bottom help, so you have that space as well to hang something from. And remember our initial, well, this is actually after it. So we have our initial join after the ring and chain, and up here there is a join as well with a picot. So that picot leaves some space for you to add some findings if you want to. So those I think are super cute. I like them, but like I said, need to make more. And with these, because they are good singularly, I was going to make another one of these that kind of curled in so it could be a pendant. So thinking, I do a lot of probably tatted jewelry kind of thing, bookmarks, and like I said, the things to stick on babies' heads. Since I don't have babies anymore, I don't as much, but I have a nice supply. But at the time, they I lived in Utah where people have a lot of babies, and well, people have babies everywhere. But anyway, I had them in different shops and sold them that way, and you know, it was kind of a fun thing. So another idea, and this center obviously is not the rose, but a spray would be a fun way to use the rose bud as well, or the rose pattern. And this one, Muscan demonstrated, we worked through it. Well, I didn't help her on this one, but I learned from her. And so that would be a fun way to add a rose to a spray. I made one of these for my friends who is a veteran. But the whole idea, and if you find that you work better with a single shuttle, like I said, I demonstrate and kind of rewrite the pattern. So it's not in a nice PDF like this, but it is on my blog. And I do have the instructions, oh, they're on my ears, for the calyx. And if you know how to do a pearl tatted stem, I give you kind of some general ideas. So I don't know. I mean, honestly, you know, with things like this, if you wanted to make a whole jewelry set off of it, you could, just by, you know, adding more to a side of a rose to make a bracelet out of it. You could use your pearl stems or pearl tatted stems off the side too. You could do multiple roses, that's the right word, multiple in a row. And if you were going to do that, you know, you're thinking ahead. So you're going to add maybe a picot here on your 2 second half stitches, so that you have something to join to. So it's really just about, you know, what do you want to do with it, and planning ahead a little bit. So, and sometimes, like, I ended up doing them in a long, like, I'll go somewhere and I just have a shuttle and a ball and just go to town on just making them more assembly line type of a thing. One thing that I found is that if I leave, I can pull this apart. If I leave one with the tails, instead of cutting it off really close, then I save some of the thread so that I know I have the right color to do a bud at the end of the stem, and just kind of throw some of that color in. And because I need 3 strands for a pearl tatted stem, that red is encapsulated all the way through that stem. I mean, you can see it a little bit right there. It peeks through before the bud, but it comes in so that I have that to work my stem around, and then I have that to make the bud. And so if I, you know, have a little bit left on the shuttle, I'll just wrap it up with it. And that way, next time I go, I can, and I'm just doing all stems, then I have some of my original color to do that. This one, I didn't, and so I just did a nice green loop on the end. And I do the loops just because or the ring at the end, just because I find that it is easier to sew in ends. Another tip is when you get to the very end of your purl tatting, if your pattern is like this one, 3 and 3, I'm going to skip it down to 1 and 1. And that way it ties off better and I don't have a big gap where the purl tatting picot is. And so it makes it a lot easier to sew in. Let's see. Any other thoughts on or questions, or anyone have any ideas on how maybe they think they would like to use it? I can move back to my face. There we go. You're fast. I can't hear you, Tammy. Am I too quiet?
Night. There we go.
There we go.
Ah, any questions, guys? For some reason, it keeps cutting off. He's gonna have to look at it. I'm having technical difficulties today. Yeah, it's flashing red at me. Any questions?
Oh, great. You guys posted a purl tatting video.
Yes.
I knew somebody would have a better demonstration.
That was one of those videos that Georgia had me to do years ago. And I was like, great, how do I do that? All right, let's see. Where do you download the pattern? The pattern went out with the email, Mavis. It's also up on the website. Pam, can you please post the link to that pattern? Is Mavis in the group? Yeah, I need some duct tape. Isn't it beautiful, Derby? Now, Derby is a junk journalist. Now, I got news for you. I can see some of her junk journals with those roses in it. I really can. She started learning to tat for her junk journals.
Oh, wow.
So, any questions, folks? Now, I'm going to give y'all an idea what to do with these roses. Many of you ladies go to church and go to your little gatherings, you know, when they have the dinners and stuff. These roses make a cute gift to give to someone in your church group. When y'all go for lunch, everybody gets a rose that's got a Bible bookmark, and every time they open their Bible, they can see it and they remember you. When you give a personal gift like that to someone, they think about you a lot more, okay? Because it's always there. Another thing you could use besides making jewelry with it, you could use these to make little card embellishments. All right, you sending out Valentine's cards. Okay, Valentine's is coming, guys. Give them to your husband, give them to your boyfriend. It's not going to hurt to share a rose with someone. Okay, in fact, it might brighten someone's day. We travel, and I try every time we stop to eat anywhere, I leave a little tatted bit on the table for the waitress. It's just my way of saying thank you and sharing a gift with someone, and they're inexpensive. So think about that. And they're quick to make. I mean, she's sitting there tatting one right now. So
I'm untatting, really, actually.
You're untatting?
I realize
we call that frogging it now.
Yeah.
So she has a really cool looking SpongeBob pattern, guys. I'm trying to talk her and come and teach that one. For you folks that love SpongeBob, she's got one. And you need to go to her website. You need to go look at it. She's got some beautiful patterns on there. And we do appreciate her coming to share with us. It's learning tool because she's got a 3-dimensional rose that she's made that is a flat piece. That is hard to do. I don't know about you guys, but that is the first 3-dimensional rose I have seen that was tatted that had depth to it. And I noticed the one you used that was variegated threads, that really spoke out. I mean, it was like,
Yeah.
you know, just jumping out at you. Carol, you go to the doctors, you give nurses something. Well, here you go. Here's your something else to give. We can only give so many snowflakes, guys. Okay. And then we get big snowfalls like we just went through. All right. When Florida gets snow, it's serious. So think about that. You give gifts all the time. It's a little thank you. And it really makes people feel special. Okay. You can sit there and tat up a bunch of them. How many of you go to the doctor's office and there's a bunch of kids running around? Give them a tatted butterfly. They're quiet for hours. Seriously, they're flying that butterfly everywhere, but they're entertained. And you'd be surprised how entertaining something that small can be to a child. And it's not going to hurt them. Don't give it to one that does this, though. We don't want them to eat the rose. We want them to play with the rose. So, is there any questions, guys? Any ideas what you could do with it? What about an embellishment on a pocket, on a jacket? Use the right size thread. It could be really, really big and stand out. For those of you that love roses, tat it in your favorite color rose. Have it all over the house. Put it in a frame. Sit it on your desk. Now, I could throw all kinds of ideas at you. That's the creative side of me. I, however, have a plan for this rose. I am incorporating it into my son's wedding. They're getting married September 2nd. And everybody I've asked to make cabone ring napkin rings. And everybody's supposed to tat a different pattern on 2 napkin rings. Now, the ones that participate's great. The ones that don't, they're still great. That just means I got to make a lot of them. And this gives me an idea. I can put that in with the napkin and have the rose peeking out. And it's a take-home gift, just like the napkin rings are. So it's an easy way to fulfill what needs to be done for the wedding. So I have got stuff back here. I've got the veil. Finally, it came the other day. I've got to put it together. And she hit me with all her colors are fall colors.
Yeah,
So
that was going to be my question.
Yeah. She's into the fall colors. Seriously. She's a beautiful person. She's got a beautiful heart. And she sent me pictures. She's looking at rust and oranges and tans and browns and stuff. And she wants me to do her bouquet. So, and incorporate tatting in that. So I've got ideas up here just going crazy. So
I thought, because you talked about the variegated ones, which this one's variegated, this one's variegated.
Now
and
look
I have
at the
variegated
depth on the camera. Look at the depth on the camera. When you put it under the camera, look at that. Can you see it? It's actually got depth to it.
Yeah, they're pretty well. So one thing that I wanted to point out is this one was not variegated. This one was 2 different threads. So
see, and it outlined it.
Yeah. So you can see, and now this one obviously I did something different there. I actually switched threads because I'm switching shuttles. So that one was different. But like I said, oh, sorry, maybe you couldn't see that.
Okay.
It's as long as you're getting the stitches, this is one is actually a good example to show you. This one I did not do the the second half.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of is curved. That's okay. it's not, you know what I mean? Like, so
Well,
actually with
one
this
thing
one
I'll
right here,
tell you, and
little
this I
different.
learned a long time ago. My mother was an artist, and there are no straight lines in nature. So if we try to put straight lines in nature, that just doesn't work. It's got to have some kind of movement to it because nature moves.
Hmm.
So,
And they're, you know, it's a nature and they're all different, right? So,
right.
but this one does follow so you can see a little bit more of, you know,
Yeah.
which shuttle I used for which color. And I didn't even follow this because that's, like I said, there's so many different pathways that you can create this
This
as long as
opens
you've
up
got
a
thread.
design element. It really
Yeah,
does.
yeah. It gives you a lot of options. So it's
Oh,
just something fun to
Kathleen.
play around.
Kathleen, she said she was married in September and had fall colors. It's so beautiful and a lot of possibilities. Good. I may be, hitting you up for some ideas.
Yeah, this I had this variegated orange. It's the 183 in Elizabeth, and you
Yeah,
can't tell very
that
well
is a
exactly.
pretty orange, though.
It is such a pretty rose, and that one I had a couple and they're gone. But I used that in the pattern too. But yeah, they're to me that was one of my favorite. I actually kept one for myself, but it's upstairs in my book.
Well, the thing is with variegated, if it's not variegated properly, it will throw a pattern off. If it's
Yeah.
variegated like it should be, oh my gosh, it's like it was made for different patterns. But one thing that I learned throughout my tatting career is if you mix two variegateds in the same color family, you are going to get depth that you never saw before. And it gives it a realistic look. So try
Yeah.
that sometime. It's really fun. So, with that said, we appreciate everyone coming, and I hope that you all will visit us on Tuesday. We have a special treat on Tuesday from one of our very own students, an up and coming designer, Kathleen. We'll be doing her pattern on Tuesday, and this is that gorgeous beauty. Y'all see that? Look at that. Now, everybody, gather your supplies. We are going to have some fun on Tuesday. Kathleen, you hope you're ready for the questions. So, with that said, we will see you all on Tuesday. You all have a wonderful rest of your weekend and happy tatting, everyone. I'll see you on Tuesday. Alrighty. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.